So I sailed across the sea to see if you were there waiting for me, but you were not. So I sailed back with a broken heart. I waited till 3 to see if you would come looking for me, but you did not. So I fell asleep with a broken heart.
All I know is the place I used to go to on 41, the Chinese restaurant. I was bragging to somebody how good everything tasted, and the next day I read in the paper they were serving cat.
It was still good cat. Hey, how you
Hello,
good guys?
everybody.
You doing over there on YouTube? Yeah, so hunting we will go. All right, we're getting ready to do some stuff here. We're going to do some really cool stuff. Right now, we're happening on YouTube. This is a YouTube flow, but I've got to get us set up here on the face of Boogity. This is where we are over here. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Ooh,
All right, and
action.
hold on. Snuggle up. Snuggle bunnies. Hey,
everybody.
there we are. It is
March the 12th.
March the 12th, Thursday, 6:08. Timestamp. We're a little bit tatty. But that's okay because we're here. Coronavirus or not. This is the recovery room. If we talk about all things prevention, all things treatment, all things recovery, and from all things. It doesn't matter whether it's a bad relationship or, which there's a whole lot of recovery from that stuff, man. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not one to give much advice on that one.
Dude, like, don't do this.
Yeah, don't do that. You know what I mean? It's about all that I can say about that. But the reality is, though, is that I do come to you with a wealth of experience, and don't want to call it so much knowledge. It's certainly not scholarly. It is, and if it is, the school was the school of hard knocks or hard rocks or rock in a hard place, however you want to say it. It was tough, but guess what? Tough times don't last. Tough people do, and so I've survived it. To sit here tonight and come to you and say, listen, if I could do it, you can do it. I'm no different, no better, no less, or whatever than anybody else. I'm just a guy who decided one day that enough was a freaking enough. You know, and when enough is enough is enough. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's donuts. I don't care exactly what it is. Sometimes you've got to make a decision, because guess what? No decision is a decision. And I don't know if you guys are part of our Facebook Recovery Room family. If you are not, please go to your search and type in the recovery room, and a bed with that hospital sign will come up, and hey Sean, you're on. That hospital sign will come up, so you know you're at the right place, and join, because we post. There's a lot of interesting posts happening there, more and more each day, and something may pertain to you, but you also have the opportunity to post something that may help somebody else, and that's what that's all about. But also, what we do every day, what Christy does, is she posts a topic for the day, and today's topic is happiness is the new success, the new rich rather. Happiness is the new rich. And you know, it's so weird these days that we have found ourselves in this age of information, in this age of total instant gratification, where if you're hungry, you can pop something into the microwave, or you can ride up the street and you can go to the a drive-through, and you're eating. It used to be a time when you'd have to go hunting first, kill your meal, dress it. Yeah, find it.
Maybe
Find
not.
it, maybe not. And if you do, you get lucky. You have to dress it, and you got to start a fire, and all that stuff. These days, all you got to do is have about $1, because you can get $1 meal. I think it may have $1.07, but you can get a McDouble or something for $1 at the drive-through. Instant gratification, and what we're finding is that with all of this, that people are seemingly less happy, and so happiness happens. The key word there, happy, happiness, happen. They're all connected, and it happens when you make a decision. I know so many people that are so tied to those old tapes. They're so tied to those. They're connected to those old feelings. When there's an opportunity to change all that, which is what transformation is. Transformation is when you change it all, where nothing exists from that old self. Let's say, and that scares some people, because everybody kind of they get used to where they're at. There's that story about everybody gathered around in a circle, and you get the opportunity to throw all your crap into a pile in the middle of everybody, and everybody can go in and pick the thing that they want. They found that most people would pick their own stuff. They feel like other people are more screwed up than they are. And so, but that's because we're so used to it, and it's just like everything else. If you give up, like if you lose your keys, right, Sean? We've been looking for the keys to the freaking whatchamacallit,
For 7 months.
for 7 months, and I still feel bad. I'm still grieving this thing.
Because we knew we had the keys.
I had the keys.
We drove back from Louisville.
We used them, had to use them. But there's a grieving process. It doesn't matter what it is, and so especially from some behaviors that have become normal, used to us, and that's one of those crazy things, right? When you're doing some really screwed up stuff, but in your mind it's become normal, that's a problem. And so change, yes, Rona, change is good. Change is necessary. The only thing consistent is change. And now you're talking about change. You see, sometimes we got to be forced to do stuff, right? So right now we're being forced to wash our hands.
No, we should have been doing that all along.
Mama told you that way back when you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands. And wash them good. Don't just run water on them, and wash them good. Now, because of this thing coming up, people got to remind us to wash our hands.
Like a real good friend of mine just logged into my page, Jennifer. So
hey Jennifer.
And she's a school teacher.
Uh-huh.
So she's around all those little kids every day, and she's like, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. And I mean, my heart goes out to everybody that has to deal with the public on every day. One of my big, if I get the coronavirus, it's a game changer for me. That's it.
It's a game ender.
But you have all these individuals out there who,
Hey,
like,
Jamie.
they're closing Disney, they're closing all the basketball things.
They shut down the whole season in basketball.
The hockey season, they're postponing that. The NASCAR races this weekend, those are done. They're not gonna have. They're still gonna race, just not let anybody be there to watch it. And one of my biggest concerns is everyone out there who's using, they just need a little trigger, something that's going to push them forward to start using.
Yeah.
So if the virus doesn't kill you, using will.
Yeah.
And
I'm betting on the using. to kill you first before the virus does. I mean, based on the statistics that have come up, using these days with the advent of fentanyl and fentanyl being so inexpensive, you know, you can very easily die of an overdose from a product that you've been buying on a regular basis from a person that you've been getting it from regularly. Okay, and that's the saddest part of it, you know. But I'm upset about them. I'm upset about them shutting down all the sports events and all that. But I'm more upset about them shutting down a gig I had this weekend. This is how serious this is hit home. This is hit close to home for me now. This is my livelihood, and it's going to be affecting everybody's livelihood. But I had a prime time gig on Saturday. Now that I got a call that they're shutting it down because of coronavirus. I'm like, really? I mean, we're a bunch of old folks. We're gonna die anyway. Virus. We used to eat dirt. Remember we was talking about?
Yeah.
Man, I can't die from no coronavirus. If I survive all the dirt I've eaten in my life,
Drinking out of those nasty
drinking
garden
out of
hoses.
hoses and pools and things,
Like,
and rivers.
I'd never thought about the mold and stuff was in one of those hoses till a friend of
Oh, my
mine
God.
took his utility knife and cut one open. I looked inside there. I'm like,
Yeah, drink some more of this.
I'm like, huh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, a good friend of mine posted today, and it's true, but it's again something that it shouldn't take a mysterious virus to move us to action. It was like, okay, so boost your immune system. You should be doing that anyway, because there's some stuff that's out there right now that's killing people quicker and faster than corona. But not just they just figure the corona is like, you know, it has that twist to it or something, because this Corona 19, that's what it is. This is Corona 19. But if you look on the side of Lysol bottle, it says kills Corona.
Yeah.
It's been on there forever and ever and ever, you know. And so Corona's been around. It's just this strain, I guess, that, you know, has been put out there is a little
A little bit different or
a little
whatever
bit different. And yes, Rona, precaution is good. I mean, that's good in everything. You know, when you go to a restaurant, you know, the the most contaminated thing in that restaurant is the menu. You know, so after you pick up your menu and you order your food, I suggest very strong you go and wash your hands again. You know, because I mean, you know, so these are little things, but it's real.
Well, I mean, I was in the industry for 30 plus years, and at the end of every shift, the menus would get wiped out. But those menus were handled by everybody all day long.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Yeah. So I mean, these are the things that you know. This is the crazy thing. All of these things are things that we know, but we had to get this to motivate us to do it.
they tested all the touchscreens in the McDonald's.
Oh.
Every single one had feces on it.
Oh, you better believe it.
In the it was just the United States they tested.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, you better believe it. You know.
like, you might not even think about this. You're going to go pump gas.
Oh, it's
And then now
horrible.
you have all that nasty stuff on your hand. Then you grab your water bottle,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
else, and it's right by your mouth.
Or you pick your nose.
Right.
You know.
out. It doesn't. After so many hours, it dissipates. But and bleach is $1 a gallon. Go to the dollar.
Yeah, the dollar
go to the
store.
Dollar Tree.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure.
And you can disinfect your house, your doorknobs, etc. And so many people, they're touching money and then eating. Not to be whatever, but that money was just
Woo.
on a stripper's body,
Or somewhere in
somewhere
a drug
else.
den somewhere.
or some homeless guy in his pocket, and he was sleeping and
Yeah.
peeing.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You don't know.
You know.
You really don't know. And so, and it's so weird that we're here talking about something that's killing people that are already compromised. If your immune system is compromised, you stand a good chance of dying from the coronavirus. But I got people that I know in my life right now that are injecting themselves or ingesting in their system poison. I mean, because it's what it is. It's if it's can kill you, and it's a substance that is not created in your own body, then it is poison. We're talking about a little virus, but I'm trying to get people to get with this mindset of killing yourself. Because that's what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. You can try to kid yourself and to say, "Oh, I'm just gonna do one more. That's it. It's my last one." And you don't have. I can't even tell you the number of times myself I've said that. And 3 times in particular, I said this is my last one, and doggone, almost was.
In the old days, they'd roll up the bill and do the line.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with the bill.
That virus could be on that line.
Oh my God! And you're taking it right into your system, into where the viruses happen. Now, happiness is the new rich. Again, it's what we talked about or the topic that we chose. That's on our recovery room page. Happiness is the new rich. They also said that kindness is the new cool. And these are things that we got to kind of wrap our heads around. And I know some of them are like, yeah, right, shoots, another quote smote, another saying, you know what I mean? But the reality is, if you can wrap your head around it and understand that it's what's necessary in this world we living in that is so full of information, a large percent of it very negative. That is what we're being bombarded with. And they said that fear is the dark room where the negative is made. And boy, if they're not trying to do it now. I mean, think about this. Somebody told me that they heard from some reliable source. They heard from somebody that in the next couple of weeks, just like they did in Italy, they're going to shut the United States down. Talking about population control. You're talking about control in general. What do you do when they tell you that you're quarantined to your house? Okay, and you don't have any food, you don't have any means to survive, and they're talking about 30 days of quarantine. Guess what? At the end of that 30 days, you're gonna be dead, because you can't survive 30 days without eating and drinking. So we have been a nation under sedation so long. Much as I hate to say it, this is our wake up call, folks. This is our wake up call. It's like, wake up. If you got some relationships that you've been holding on to any kind of resentment and haven't forgiven them, now's the time to forgive them. I would venture to say that if you got some bad habits, it doesn't matter what they are. Now is the time to deal with them head on. Because my dad used to always say, weight broke the wagon. Weight broke the wagon, and I didn't know what the heck he was talking about, but now I know.
A friend of mine sent me a message today. They're like, Sean, you've always been, like, come hurricane season, you're always prepared. You got your generators done up. You got your big commercial in 5. You've got you know your food supplies, your water supplies, whatever else, and I've always done that my whole life. So it wasn't I was preparing for a disaster like this. I mean, hurricanes used to be right around the corner. So
Yeah.
when I would go grocery shopping, I would get a couple of extra cans of this or a extra tank of beans, you know, whatever else. But a lot of people, they don't have that,
Yeah.
and
And will perish. And if I you know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I say that every day, but I guess I am on some level. You know, there's like 8 billion people on the planet, and the planet ain't gonna be able to sustain that number for too much longer. And you know, they was talking about building a wall and all kind of stuff. That didn't work. They're gonna build this thing that they have to quarantine a whole. How you quarantine 300 million people? And what do they do with the people that are running around out on the street that are not in a structure? Did they lock them up? This is a new thing coming down the pipe, guys. And you know, we if our addictions are based on pain, then there's gonna be a whole bunch of pain coming down right down the pike here. Because guess what else is gonna happen? If you're quarantined into your home, you can't go and get your drugs, legal or otherwise. You got to have the doctor. They got to be sent to your house. There's a lot of things that's going to change very rapidly here, guys, in a very short period of time. And so what Sean was talking about, you know, getting canned goods and all that, it always happens around here during like a hurricane time or whatever, right? If a hurricane comes, you can't go in, you can't find any plywood, you can't find any water, no light bulbs, no flashlights, no generators. They just buy them all. Okay, and see, this is saying, right, is that people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, we were just talking about it today. It's like, okay, we got a couple, 2, 3 generators around here and some other stuff that is survival stuff. We should have it prepared, because the worst thing that can happen is you got all that stuff and you can't use it when the incident comes about. But I want to read a couple of quotes. This one got me today. It's like, and it's so simple, but it's so true. It says, if you get tired, learn to rest, not quit. You know, because if you stop and rest for a little minute, you can go a little bit further. And the further you go, the more you can see. You know, I'm learning to love the sound of my feet walking away from things not meant for me. That should hit a couple of people between the eyes, right? Don't be afraid to start all over again. You may like your new story better. And that's a whole majority. That's like most people. They just scared to take that leap. You know, they're scared to take that next step. And fear is false evidence appearing real. And as I said, it is the dark room that creates the negative. And that negative, you know, if it's processed right, creates this picture that we in our reticular activating system, we take it and we internalize it, and as addicts, we tend to think that we're less than ourselves. We're what the people think about us. It doesn't matter what people think about you. It's none of your business what they think about you. You know, it's how you feel about yourself is the most important thing.
I used to always say I'm Jimmy Crack Corn. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what someone else thinks, if they like me, dislike me, whatever else. You know.
Oh God, I'm sorry, guys. Yes, even with my glasses on, I really can't see that well. So I see Cheryl Jenkins said a good friend of mine committed suicide 2 nights ago. Not drug related, life related. I'm having a hard time past couple of days dealing with the guilt over what should I have done or could have done. And you know, that's a very unfortunately a very common thing for the survivors, us as survivors of friends or relatives that pass away. Is there commercial time?
It can be.
Can you, when you know, you just point it up to me. I know we got a YouTube thing going, so we got to do a commercial. Who's the first sponsor up?
It would be.
I'm sorry. The Hammock Haven. If you're having an event and you want to do something different, rent some hammocks. Contact the Hammock Haven at thehammockhaven.com. Check them out. It's
And
really
all the hammocks
awesome.
are sterilized before the
Yes.
next usage.
421 Sweet Treats is Anne Marie's Island's sweetest little cafe. Everything's done organically. Go and check them out. They're at 5337 Gulf Drive. Protect Our Warriors is a group, protectourwarriors.com is an organization that connects businesses with armed forces. It's a really awesome organization. That's our sponsors. Thank you. You guys were able to see it on YouTube. They didn't come up here, obviously, but the number to call in, because this is a talk show. Cheryl, feel free to call in. Let's talk about your situation, because this is a common thing, unfortunately. And the number to call in is 941 201 5226. That's 941-201-5226. And yes, the number one question asked is when one of our loved ones or friends pass away is, what could I have done? And the answer, if you have to ask that question, the answer is that it's like I had a long conversation with a young lady the other day, and she was talking about giving up on her daughter and her son. She's taking care of the granddaughter. She's given up on those. The thing that I can say is never give up. They're beautiful children of God, and you are acting as the hand of God, and you have to just be there when you can. And sometimes you can't be there, and you can't beat yourself up about it, but you can't take the responsibility for somebody's actions. It wasn't you. There's sometimes there's nothing you could have done. And so, but if there was going to be something, if this situation does arise, it's just love the people. Let in your heart, when it all goes down, if you can say, listen, I tried to love them through it, then there's no question about it in the future. Some people, the last person that OD'd on me, mine was drug related, and we will talk about life related, because that's pretty much most of the stuff is about some pain. You can call it post-traumatic stress. There's a number of things that happen to people, bad relationships, loved ones pass away, or there are chemical imbalances. There's so much going on in this world, but the reality is that, and Jim Carrey said it best, the other day. It's like the depression is a reality, but if you don't have a good support group, if you don't do some positive stuff in your life, if you don't find people that you can love and get love back, then you stand a chance. You're not giving yourself a chance. Of course it exists, but we also as human beings are the most resilient people on the planet. We can overcome just about anything. And so, but we got to give ourselves a fighting chance. And it may sound cliche, but it is what it is. My saying that I say to myself all the time, hey, if it is to be, it's up to me. I can't depend on anybody else. I can't depend on the rehab. I can't depend on mama. I can't depend on daddy. I just can't. I mean, I can depend on God and the universe, but even then I still got to do something. I can't just sit here and wait for it to happen. Good things happen to those who wait, but if they're waiting for something, they should have, like Dad used to say, what do you mean you're waiting for a ship to come in? Wait for your ship to come in. And you got to send a ship out, you send a ship out before a ship comes in, and so that's a tough thing. But we talked about it the other day. There's this thing called intellectual internal re-engineering. Intellectual internal re-engineering. What is it? What do they call? It's called re-engineering, right? When they take a car, like the Japanese, they take a car. reverse engineering. That's what it is.
Right.
Reverse engineering. You take it and you break it down, and you see what was maybe in their design was a little flawed, and you take it and you fix that flaw, and you've created yourself a better vehicle. And so think of yourself as a vehicle, and think of the lubricant that you need the most in your vehicle is love. Use love as your lubricant. But you sometimes do have to go in and do some changes, and sometimes you do have to change the oil and brake fluid and all that, because you don't want to be riding down a curvy road with no brakes, right? I mean, and that's just another one of those metaphors, but it's just the truth. When you riding this vehicle of ours, we want it to be like running smooth, purring. If it's like one of them muscle cars, you want to go. You want it to be rumbling, but on time. You don't want it missing. So that's my thought on that. Cheryl, feel free to call. Once again, that number is 941-201-5226. Or anybody else out there that's got something that's on their heart and their mind that they want to share with us, and that we can share with the people who are watching. And because guess what, folks? Everybody doesn't come on. This is what I've found out, at least. Everybody doesn't come on this show right when we're doing it live. There's a lot of people who watch it later. I run into people all the time, and they say, "Hey, man, I'm keeping up with your show," and I'm like, "Really? I didn't see your name pop up here on the screen," but that doesn't mean people are not watching. And so there could be something, and that's what we pray every day, that we would at least say something that has a positive effect on somebody. We know we can't help everybody. That's just the way it is. I was going to ask you what's in the news, Sean, but we know what it is. It's all the same stuff.
There's just shutting stuff down, whatever else and whatnot. But I like I mentioned before, I am on a couple different sites. I'm on the main liver issue that I have. It's called Alpha-1 Antitrypsism, MZ, which means I'm a carrier of it. And I was talking to a whole bunch of individuals that, hey, they're nervous about the coronavirus. I mean, any one little thing could take us out in a heartbeat. But it's they were like, well, I've got no one to talk to about this. No one understands. Only 4% of the entire world has this rare disease, and some of the doctors don't even know how to look for it or whatever else. So it's nice that they're having something to chat with, and about diet needs, etc. But when I was chatting with them, I had a couple more other people that I was chatting with from, either from drinking issues or whatever else, and almost every day I get, hey, I got one day.
Hey man,
well, what do I do now?
Applaud that.
Like who do I talk to? I'm like, find a friend, get a sponsor, this and that.
Yeah, go to the rooms.
And well, they were like, I'm afraid to go outside because of the virus, and I'm like, watch our show. You know.
And participate. You see, participation is a key thing. Sean, you sent me this one the other day, and I think I just want to read it for everybody, because this is about perspective, okay? Because life is how you look at it, right? Life is not just a series of events. It's how you see it. It's how you perceive it. It said there was a 24-year-old boy seeing out the train's window shouted, "Dad, look at the trees are going by. Are going behind." Sully again explained, "Dad, look, the clouds are running with us." Young people sitting nearby looked at the boy's childish behavior and in pity said to the old man, "Why don't you take your son to a good doctor?" And the dad said, "I did, and we're just coming from the hospital. My son has been blind from birth. He just got his eyes today." Don't judge anyone in life. Every single person on earth has a story, and your story is just as important as anybody else, but how you view it is the most important thing. That couple that was saying, "Oh, go and take the kid to get a gun," that couple could have said, "Wow, I mean, that's great that he's looking and with wonder or whatever, you know, because I know when I see, and I will go and tell them because I see them a lot. When I see these parents that have these disabled children, handicapped children, but they take care of them and they love them and they treat them just like normal kids, man, that always moves me. You know, and I would go and tell them, it's like, I really appreciate it, you know, because, you know, most people that are normal don't get the kind of love that you're giving this person, that a lot of people would put them at home somewhere or whatever. But, you know, this life is all about perspective, and at the base of it is this little thing called love, LOVE. You know, it should now be the new currency. Because, you know, the thing about love is that the more love you give, the more love you get. Now try that with your money. No, try that with your current exchange. You know,
I read this thing the other day. It said there's a reason why when Noah built the ark, there was no other people on it.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah.
To heck with them, you know.
Yeah.
And that one cracked me up.
This is true. So, you know, we got a lot to get prepared for. It, you know, in some places they're shutting down schools. You know, they're asking people not to come to work. You know, if you can't come to work, you know, how you gonna make money? You know, there's some companies that have put aside some money to try to get their employees through the tough times, but that money won't last. You know, and the tough times will in this particular instance. So, I mean, you know, this for me, whether it be a conspiracy to fear us to death, it is a total wake up. We've been one nation under sedation for so long now. We've had our head in the sand like ostriches, especially with this whole opioid epidemic. I mean, it went from a thing where doctors were prescribing too many pills to where they stopped prescribing, and then people had to go on the street to get the pills, and then they became more expensive, and then people had to resort to heroin because all those opioids are just synthetic heroin, and people had to resort to heroin because it was cheaper and more potent. But then they integrated fentanyl in it, and fentanyl was killing people, and because they were mixing it with the heroin, and then people started wanting the fentanyl more than they wanted the heroin. I mean, it's a crazy world. We live in this drug world. It's like you got a headache, take a pill.
I don't think Hollywood could write a script like that. You know what I mean?
No. You know, I mean, you know, it's like, really? You want to take the thing, like, you know for a fact that a smidgen of this stuff will kill you, but you are still needing to escape and or you know, get away from the pain or whatever it is so bad that you take something that you know is going to kill you.
Like myself, on the 23rd, I have a doctor appointment so I can meet the transplant team and find out what I need to do. But I was talking with T about it earlier. I'm nervous about going to the hospital, you know, about maybe getting the coronavirus.
They may be calling us, telling us not to.
I know, and that so the thing that can save me might end up killing me going there. You know,
it's befuddled. It is a big cluster, you know what.
So I think I'm going to be out there in the woods.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, probably not out there. The air is clean. Not a whole bunch of people.
Actually, I got one of my buddies. He's a ex-Army Ranger. Call me right now because he wants to go out there to the place in Mayaca just to get away from people.
Yeah. Well, that's but you know, that's the thing. For me, everything that's happened over the last several years between social media, all the different sites where you know your communication these days is a typed message as opposed to a voice. You know, a conversation with somebody. I've been in situations where people are in the same room texting each other.
Yeah.
You know,
and it still gets messed up in translation.
It still gets messed up.
It's like, what are you doing? They're taking it as like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you're like,
can't you see me?
Yeah. You know, I'm scratching my foot eating some Cheerios. What the heck, you know?
Can you see me?
Can you get up off your lazy bleeping, you know?
Yeah,
But,
and check it out. And so this whole thing here is another thing designed to separate us, to separate us by fear. I go to, a couple of networking events that I attend during the course of the day, and, everybody's now is doing elbow bump, as opposed to shaking hands out of fear. Let's separate. Let's not get close to each other. Let's stay within 6 feet or something of each other. I mean, it's crazy, and I'm not trying to convince anybody at all to be stupid and not take precautions. Obviously, you got to take precautions, but don't let the fear rule you. That fear is the opposite of faith, and then there's this thing called devotion. Devotion is a complete commitment to doing something. It's not like wishy-washy kind of deal. It is something that you have committed to, and compassion is seeing a need and fulfilling it. We all need a whole bunch more compassion, because there's some needs. I got some people that are talking to me about some children that are in a very volatile, drug-infested situation, and asking what it is that I think that they should do, and it's kind of like a really tough call, because yes, you would think that the parents should be arrested or whatever. But then you have another kid who's in foster care, which, foster care is increased like tremendously. It's up to 45-50% increase in the number of kids that are in foster care that are based on addiction, and are based on a parent either getting arrested or overdosing or just being absent, and so, the my biggest hope is that, that person can find themselves and realize the error of their ways, because there was this question, right? It's like, so do you blame the drug dealer for selling the drugs? And the answer is yes. But the weird part of that dichotomy is the user has made a decision to give their lives to this life. And the drug dealers also made that decision, because that person is always looking at 5 to 10, 20 years in prison.
Well, and a lot of that, like with the gun thing, they say, oh, well, let's get rid of the guns because the guns are what shoots the people.
No.
Well, going by that same theory, we need to get rid of all the cars because the drunk driver or the person who was high was driving that freaking Buick that just killed X amount of people. So you have to get rid of the car. It's just,
It is. What we gotta do is what we call it. We gotta do some internal.
Yeah.
We gotta do some internal, intellectual. Really thought out changes in our lives. That's just the reality of the situation. We've got to do some changes. We got to make the changes that are necessary ourselves internally, and then the outside gets better. The outside world around us gets better. And I know it takes some work, and I know that's the hardest part. That it takes some work, and then you got to give up some things that you're so familiar with. But you know what? When you do, you will be so happy that you did. If you were to start today, 6 months from now, your life will be a completely different place. And that's guaranteed. I've seen it happen in my own life, and I've seen it happen in too many other people's lives. Can't see this?
Is it Pastor Buck Thompson?
Yeah, Pastor Buck.
Yeah, he just sent me a thing saying they're lying about the numbers of the virus.
Yeah, of course, because they don't really know. They've lied about the number of overdoses. They don't really know.
All right.
You know what I mean? You got those that you see that are clearly that. You know what I mean? But people, people are dying of misery. People are dying from loneliness. People are dying from stress and anxiety. And one thing that we know for sure, at the end of this thing,
We're all gonna die.
we're all gonna die.
You know.
There's 100% chance that you're gonna die. 10 out of 10 of us leave here, which, you know, brings me to my other point. The most valuable property on this planet is a cemetery. And the reason being is that the majority of us go to the grave with our greatness, our treasures, our gifts still buried deep inside of us. And then what we do is we take and throw it in a box and slam it shut, throw it in a hole 6 foot deep, then and throw dirt on top of it, and then put a stone on it to make sure that the world will never get to experience that greatness. The world will never get to experience that thing that only you can do. You know, get to eat that cake that only you can make. You know, and that's a sad statement. That's a sad commentary. You know, because we all got something really great inside of us. God don't make no junk, man. God don't make no junk. I'm telling you, all of us got some talents. I mean, some people can jump high and dunk a ball. Some people can run fast and run over people and all kinds of stuff. You know, some people are good writers and some are good singers. But if you haven't pursued what that is, if you don't know what that is, then you don't even know the joy that comes with the finding your purpose. Reminds me, what was that, the Steve Martin movie, The Jerk? He found
All I want is just a lamp in this chair.
And that's all I need. I found my purpose. So find your purpose, find your passion, find that thing that moves you, find that thing that you'll do for free, that you can conceivably make a living at. My friend John Wilson says that happiness is working and playing and not knowing the difference. That's a pretty good description. You know, if you can work and play and not know the difference, it's awesome.
It costs you nothing to be a decent person.
Oh my God, kindness is its own reward. I mean, that just goes without saying. Rona, too much panic. I'm living as long as I can. I'm not locking myself in a bubble. Thank you. Don't do it. Don't do it until it's absolutely necessary, at least. And I'm hoping that's never going to happen, because obviously they're working on a vaccine or whatever it is now, and it will be out in due time. But then it brings up all the rest of the same old stuff that we've been dealing with before this. Our health insurance. Okay, so what kind of health insurance do you have? Any? I'm fortunate. I'm a vet, so I got the VA. But some people don't have any health insurance. So are they going to be able to afford to get the vaccine? Because they're not going to be giving it out for free, because there's only going to be a certain amount of it.
That'd be the next thing the drug dealers are pushing. Hey, man.
Yeah, I got the
Hey,
Corona.
oh yeah, man, you got some? Yeah,
Corona.
I got your stuff, man. Come over here. I got Corona stuff over
Corona. You hear them down the street. Corona, got the Corona. Redback. It's an amazing thing, guys. It is an amazing life, and I'm not here to instill fear. In fact, I'm a hope dealer. In fact, our topic for the day, there was a picture on it, and on that picture, let me see if I can find it real quick, because on that picture was hold on, I'm almost there. On that picture, it said, we're live twice on there. Where there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. Right? Where there's hope for the future, there's power in the present. If you got some hope for the future, it means that there's some things that you're doing right now that are going to make that present, that future brighter. It's going to make that future something more tangible, something more livable, something better than what it is now. You know, and that thing is just like pain threshold, right? So what's your pain threshold? 1 to 10, minus 10. What is really good for you may not be anything for somebody else, but you can find your good. Find that thing that makes you happy. You know, because we say happiness is the new rich. You know, well, let me say that you obviously need some money to go along with that.
I live my day like it's the last, because it could be my last.
Yeah, could be. It could be anybody's.
Could be anyone's last, but
you know.
Yeah.
No doubt. Oh, yeah. Sean sent me this one. Remember that old Keep America Beautiful thing with the Indian, and the Indian with the tear running down his eyes because of all the waste and all the garbage that's on the street. It's the same thing now, Make America great again. A great quote, but keep America beautiful, and keep his heart nice and beautiful, and do something kind for somebody. It doesn't cost a thing, and it's free, but the reward is remarkable. The reward is remarkable. And you hear people, right? Like I always, if somebody's stuck, I usually, always try to pull over and help. And you guess what happens? If ever I get stuck, somebody pulls over to help me. Isn't that amazing? Almost every time. I mean, I've been stuck. Somebody will pull over and say, "Hey, can I help you?" Because that's what I do. That is exactly what I do. Oh, some people sharing your thing. Okay, good. Speaking of which, if you would go on to our recovery room page, if you'll go on my pages, I'm going to post something on it as soon as the show is over. We have a GoFundMe page out there, and it's remarkable that it's not, people are not putting in like $10, $15. That's all we're asking. I know it's a big number, but Sean is in need of a liver. And as he said, we're going to, on the 23rd, to Tampa to start to get on the liver transplant.
Get on a
list. But in the course of this whole thing, there are going to be some huge out-of-pocket costs, doctor's appointments or stuff. If you end up getting a liver, there's actually the recovery stuff that goes on after that. And so there is a GoFundMe page there that I would love for you guys to just go and throw $5 or $10 on to help Sean with his They said the out-of-pocket expenses could be over $50,000. And this is a high price of health, but what is a life worth? And if you were in the situation, wouldn't you want someone to help you? So I'm imploring you guys to go to the GoFundMe page. It's on the recovery room page, and it will be on my this same page here later with the link to the GoFundMe. And I know GoFundMe's weird, so if you want to do like a private message me or something and say you'd rather do something else, send it a check in the mail, whatever the case might be, that's fine. But participate, do something nice for somebody else. That's what this life is all about.
If you're a manager of a company and you know that they need a tax write-off, every dollar helps.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it looks like Jen Drake, she's the only one who made a donation.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you again, Jen.
And Jen did it the first day that the thing went up. And I don't know. We got some people that are regulars here, and I know some of you have a few extra coins. I know some of you that I've had those $75 or $80 meals with when we go out. So skip a meal. Kick it in on the donations for Sean's liver. It's well worth it. It's a human life.
When we do meet with the foundation for my liver transplant up in Tampa, they also have a fundraising thing set up. So there might be a different avenue for those of you who are afraid of the GoFundMe thing.
Yeah. Well, I contribute to GoFundMe all the time, and nothing's ever happened, like not my account. But see, there's another thing. If you really want to do something, it's always like Daddy always said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Go over to your local CVS or grocery store, or whatever. Buy one of them gift cards that you can put some money on. That then you can just go and then use it to do things that you don't have to worry about it being attached to your personal account or anything like that. There are ways, but again, there's the opportunity to do a private message and say, hey, listen, I'd rather send it in the mail.
Don's waving us.
Don is waving us. Hey, listen, guys, this is Recovery Room. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sean, you got a last thing to say, because I hear the music.
If no one's told you that you love,
yeah, we love you guys.
God loves you.
God loves you.
Be safe.
Peace.
Rubber side down.
Rubber side down, baby. And so it is.
Already knew I would come searching anyway. So I sailed across the sea to see if you were there waiting for me. But you were not. So want you to know